Hey there, Mark. How you doing?
Hey
All
Justin,
good?
what's up?
Yeah, very, very good. Maybe slightly tense,
Okay.
um, but not too much. Just hopefully going to be launching the boot camp pretty soon, and just gathering everything to make that happen. How about you?
I've had a very tense evening, and
Oh,
it's
tense.
related to my goals. Yeah, I was trying to get a second and third podcast, or I mean, screencast recorded,
Yeah.
and there was a Visual Studio Code update, and it was like, it's an automatic update, and those happen every month. So I was like, all right, yeah, I'll just grab that first, and it broke the shortcut I use all the time. Command backtick, which pops an integrated terminal at the bottom of your VS Code window open and closes it. So I always hit Command backtick, just open up the terminal, type stuff into the terminal, close it, go back to the code, change code, open the terminal. And I've got a few related shortcuts. And I think because it's a common thing on Mac apps in general to switch windows within the same app. So say you have like three Safari windows open at the same time. You can hit Command Tab and cycle through them.
Yeah.
So now VS Code does that on Mac also, and it won't let you re-enter the shortcut. Like you can't overwrite it, so it's just like a core thing of my workflow is broken. And I had a different shortcut set up for toggling between the multiple windows of it. So
Oh man. So
I
stressful.
yes, because I was trying to reconfigure it and Googling and couldn't find anything on it, and was going to downgrade back to the one I had just so I could finish recording. But then I saw that this month's update included a security update, so I was like, and so I made a new shortcut, and then constantly hit the wrong thing while I was recording my screencast. So it took way
It's
longer than expected.
amazing how important the like your environment setup is. I mean, I've found that like that's one of the things that can really exponentially increase your speed as a developer. Is like having the right
Yeah,
shortcuts, having the right environment, all that stuff.
yeah, and it's like if I were just coding, it would still slow me down, a bit. Having to, like if you just say that you switch Command Tab, so instead of like going to a different application, it does some other thing. You're always going to be hitting the wrong thing. And if you're recording a screencast, you've got to have multiple things going on in your mind at once. You've got to be explaining the thing, you've got to be typing the code correctly, and every single time you screw up, you've got to re-record that part, or else just have a worse experience. So
Yeah, what would it be like on what's that thing called? Twitch.
Twitch,
Yeah,
well, on Twitch, then you just have the worst experience, and
yeah.
people's expectations are a lot lower on Twitch. It's kind of there's some compensation for it, and that it's
People
live.
know, they know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't edit that heavily. Like most screencasters I know edit way more than I do. But I if I hit the wrong thing like three times in a row, I probably will cut that out.
So you said it
So
was part of your goal.
yes, to make a long story short, I have done the coding for like three screencasts, maybe even four,
Yeah.
and I recorded two, and I've published one, but I haven't gotten the three published that were my goal. And I think that's really important because just seeing my buddy's channel growth go up so much when he started recording more often, and seeing my own like stagnate a bit since I haven't been recording as many videos recently. It's yeah, it's
Yeah,
uh,
so I
it's a big
watched.
thing.
You sent me the video of the live view. It's
For
pretty
uh,
cool.
for the Reactor AM site.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how it all works. I like it. It's nice, a nice video too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I like yeah. So just for people watching or listening, what I did in that video is I just did a brief tour of how the live view reactivity works on the site for this podcast. So if you go to an episode and you're reading it, and I edit the episode, or someone makes a comment, or someone edits their comment, or an admin deletes a spam comment, you'll see that update without reloading your browser, as long as you have JavaScript running. And if you've got JavaScript disabled, it degrades pretty nicely.
Yeah, it's good. It's nice. Yep, and the Reactor is great, looking great now with those changes. I don't know whether they were in there for last week, but it's just yeah, no, they weren't in there last week, and then you made them afterwards. It just looks. I think it just
Well,
looks much cleaner now.
I've got to do a couple more podcasts to finish up everything, but
Yeah.
I've already done one where, I mean, a couple more screencasts, but I've already done one where I said, "Hey, the site is launched. Now all I'm going to do is show all the steps to get from how it is now in our repo that we've been coding along with, and what's on the site. And then once that's done, the series is done." So that means in the future, any changes to Reactor are going to be like a fifth or a tenth of the time cost to me to
Yeah,
make,
of course. Yeah,
because I'm
that's
not
great.
like screencasting every single step of it.
Yeah. No, it's good.
Um,
I like it.
yeah, I guess, yeah. So other goals, what did I have? I had the main one was just publish the 3 screencasts. Oh, and then the diet, I was going to try to hit 6 days of compliance instead of 5, since 5 worked 3 times. I failed that. And then after I failed it, I was like, this week's already a waste. So I only made it 3 days out of 7. So missed
I
both goals.
Yeah, my wife is doing so well on a diet right now. She lost
Hmm.
30 pounds, and the way she's doing it is she's stopping eating at 2 p.m.
That, yeah, I can see how that make you lose weight quickly.
Yeah. So I think I might try that. I'm kind of inspired by her. Yeah.
Well, I think, as we talked about way back early in the show, like intermittent fasting or even longer fast, like that'll lower your blood sugar
Yeah.
faster than almost anything, and that is pretty strongly related with weight loss and weight gain.
Yeah. Try that. See how that works out.
I'm
You're gone.
I'm su- I'm surprised she can do that so easily though in the afternoon. Like most people that I know that have done it, they just don't eat breakfast and they just kind of keep going through the day, and then
Uh-huh.
they eat like only after 4 p.m. or something,
I
and then they
know, yeah.
sleep.
I agree.
So
So that's why I want to try it out because that's the way that I've been doing it, and it hasn't really made much of a change. So I've been not eating until 12.
yeah,
So I'm going to try not eating after 2, and it's a different way of thinking about it, and we'll just see what happens. I'm just
isn't
curious.
isn't she hungry in the evening? So like, isn't
I
that
would
hard?
imagine probably, but honestly,
Wow.
anytime I've lost weight, I've been hungry. I mean, and if you're not hungry, you're probably I don't know. It's not.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't
I
know.
guess yeah. I guess she has a strong will.
Hmm. Yeah. So we'll see. So maybe I don't know. I'm just going to experiment with it and see what happens. But one thing, just going back to the Reactor site, you fixed the like the play thing in page.
Hmm.
That looks great. Nice.
Oh yeah, that was right. I took it out of the iframe completely because I was hitting like cross origin request scripting issues. So
Okay.
I just ripped out all the stuff that Pinecast does for you and made the media tag myself.
So does that mean that Pinecast doesn't know how to count our stats anymore?
Oh, that's a good question. No, because the audio is on their server.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So they see
I
when the audio is downloaded.
I think so. I mean, I don't listen to us talk afterwards after I've already edited it like
Hmm.
that much.
Yeah.
But I haven't noticed any difference. Like we've been actually we're over 10 listens a day now. It's like about 11.1 or 2.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
cool. Very cool.
Well, it's like a tiny, tiny, tiny blog, but fair
It's
enough.
something. It's something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. So no spam yet. That's the other good news.
Mm.
Bad news is no comments at all, except from us. But
Okay. So what do you want to talk about?
let's see here. I've got a few things. One is, just kind of the plans and thinking on the site on Alchemist Camp.
Yeah.
Two is just some updates on like my algorithm coding, test preparation, all that stuff.
Okay.
And three is I had a couple of thoughts from related to one of the old TechZing podcasts,
Okay.
like a mental model that has kind of been sticking in my, or actually it's an idea that I had that's related to one that you guys had talked about,
Well,
which is
let's do
the,
that first. That sounds kind of like
all
it would
right.
be interesting.
So you had one episode that was called something about enthusiasm half-life, and you were
Yeah.
talking about like the half-life of what is your enthusiasm when you're working on something. And I had for a long time, like with language learning, like 10 years or 15 years ago, I'd had this idea of like a cannonball learner versus like a rocket ship learner. And like the cannonball learner, it's like they fly out of a cannonball. And like the first week they show up in Taiwan or whatever, they're studying like Chinese 4 hours a day, and they're like, super hardcore about it. And then it just kind of like gradually decreases and decreases and decreases. Then after a year, like they never study at all.
Mm-hmm.
Then the rocket ship type is super uncommon in comparison, but there's some people that'll just they'll just like do their 30 minutes a day every day for like 3 or 4 years and get really good.
Hmm.
So except for that group, like for the cannonball group, it's like everything hinges on, do they learn enough fast enough that it's no longer that difficult or unpleasant before they run out of enthusiasm. So it's like, do you learn enough to start talking and make some local friends? That's like one bar. Another bar is like maybe you also learn enough that you can read the news and chat on local chat apps with your friends. And like if you get to that point, then you can be lazy. Like you'll keep on reading, and your vocabulary will keep growing, and you'll just get better and better and better. There are a lot of people that kind of get stuck between the two, like they can talk but never really learn how to read. And obviously Chinese is like, it's got some unique challenges for reading. And there are a lot of people that don't make it to the point where even daily life is that comfortable, and then they just hang out with other foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is basically exactly what you were talking about with the enthusiasm half-life. And it applies to people, working on entrepreneurial things. Like I've been chatting with some of my buddies that actually my buddy Julian that does the blockchain stuff. Like he was really frustrated last year and was having a rough go of it, but kind of just managed to get by to where he was earning a good amount. And now he's super motivated.
Yeah, I've always
And that seems
found. Yeah, I've just gonna say I've always found like it's really easy to learn something when you need to learn it. You know what I mean?
if you have to. Yeah.
If you have a need. So and it's not about like I don't know about have to, but say for example, you're first starting to learn to code, and the reason is because you really want to make an app that can do X, Y, Z. And so,
Yeah.
and you just really want to, you're just starting to learn. And so you want to ship a product. And so, actually wanting to ship a product is the reason why you learn to code. And you just said
Or
to
get
me,
a job.
yeah, or get a job. You just said something
Yeah.
interesting there, which is when people, because for just talking about language specifically, like
Yeah.
I was never interested in language until I went and spent like a couple of months in France. And then it was like, I need to learn French to speak to these people. And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm just gonna do it because I have to.
It feels real then
Yeah.
also. 'Cause I
Yeah.
think especially like a lot of Anglophones, like we don't really even get foreign languages as a concept. I mean, in theory we do, but we don't think, we don't really think about like these whole other, vast swaths of the world where they're speaking every day using, no English to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So is that part of it? Is part of the enthusiasm half life the sort of the need angle?
Well, that's a little different. So I guess the need could overwhelm, like that could get you through even if you don't have enthusiasm. It's like if you are, an immigrant with a family and you're in an English speaking country and you need English in order to get a decent job, like you're not going to give up learning English, right?
Yeah.
Like even if you're not enthusiastic, the the people I knew in Taiwan were a few were like that. Like I had a Vietnamese classmate a long time ago who was like 100% like moving for economic reasons, and like Chinese would give him more opportunities in Vietnam. But most of the English speakers and the Japanese speakers, which made up most of my classmates, like they didn't need to learn Chinese. Like they wanted to, they were interested in it.
Do you think that people should, rather than sort of say, okay, I'm going to get deep and learn Chinese, do you think they should sort of go, okay, I'm going to look at 10 things and I'm going to go really shallow. I'm going to put a day into each of these 10 things and see which one of them is like really interesting to me. And so they
Um,
go shallow across like a lot, like in a horizontal way, and then they're like, oh wow, number 8 was awesome. I'm going to go deep
that
into that.
Yeah, that doesn't usually work that well with foreign languages. Like I know
Okay.
some people who like read lots of polyglot blogs and they're really into it and they'll be like simultaneously studying three languages. They usually fail at all of them. Um,
Well, I was
it,
thinking, I was thinking language is just one. Like one of them might be
oh, you have
cooking.
lots of different
Yeah,
pursuits. Sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But well, okay, sorry to expand. Um, like Derek Sivers, have you read his blog post? Hell yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that was
yeah,
that was an old one. Yeah.
yeah.
That's good.
So like speaking to the enthusiasm half life, should you really be doing anything that you don't feel absolutely hell yeah about? And so maybe you think you want to learn a language, but are you hell yeah about it? Maybe you actually want to learn cooking instead. And so that's what I'm saying, try like 5 things and find out, okay, which is the thing you are super into
Yeah.
and and then
For
go
me,
and
it's a
then
balance. I think
yeah. Okay.
because there's the thing is like if you ask like 20-year-old me like what are you hell yeah about, the answer would be I'm gonna play StarCraft Brood War, and I'm hell yeah about doing that like 40 hours a week and then eating it junk food afterwards. So there's like what's the hell yeah for your current self and what's the hell yeah for your future self.
Mm.
And I think, sorry, go ahead.
No, my kid is so into gaming. It's like it's crazy. He's just about to turn 6 and he's so into gaming. And I do think that there's various different paths that you can take from being really into gaming. He could that could migrate into being really into coding, um, presenting. I mean, I don't know. So being hell yeah about gaming isn't such a bad concept.
It depends. The thing is, like, there are a lot of people that want to be a professional gamer, or even like a Twitch streamer, or even a video game developer. And there's so many people that want to do it. It's a really rough market. It's kind of like, if you want to be an actor, like that is the right thing for a few people, but most people who go for it get ground up, and it's not so great for them.
Mm.
Um, I was gonna say a minute ago though, the thing about language learning is that's one of those things that I see as like an engine, right? So like if you're young and you learn a language, like that will give you more returns over your entire life. Like if you had learned French as a kid, you would have like that extra advantage. Maybe not in every situation, but probably every year of your life it would help you in some way. And like French isn't gonna be obsolete. So it's like learning math, or it's like learning like sales skills or just any kind of like um, you know fairly stable evergreen like human skill.
The counter view to that, and I think we might have discussed this before. I have a friend who learnt French early and got really good at it, and as a result, his entire life has been about being, knowing French. So it's sort of defined him. It's defined him. He lives in France. He is an English French translator. Like it's his whole life is based on that knowledge. So it's sort of created a set of train tracks for his whole life. So that would be the sort of potential. I don't know whether you call it a downside,
Yeah,
but it's one thing. If you do get into something, it could potentially just define you from that point forward.
I guess. Although I mean, like I learned Chinese. I did a tiny bit of translation work, but it certainly hasn't like defined what I do.
Yeah.
And if you learn math, you don't have to be a mathematician. You could just use math and be an engineer. You could like use languages and
Yeah.
make friends as an engineer. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't want to like, especially with language, I wouldn't want to like lean on that as a professional is like a main is a center point of your profession, because there are so many people that are bilingual. It's not that special. It's nice, but it's not that special.
Yeah. Hmm.
So anyway, the whole like you know cannonball approach for enthusiasm though, like that's got to be like one of the biggest factors for Nugget, right?
Yeah.
Because I bet people come in and they're like really fired up, and it's just like go 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 go, and then like there's a half life to that enthusiasm.
Oh, completely. Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult. It's difficult to deal with, and it's not just about. You see, there's a double whammy because there's one aspect of getting through learning content, just
Hmm.
any learning content. Like it's just painful to get through learning content because it's like I got to learn. But then actually doing it, like building a business, it's really difficult, because you've got to build an audience and just got to do the work. So
Yeah,
that's what slows
yeah,
people down. That's when they get slowed down. We do a pretty great job of getting them through the content, but then when they go out into the real world and try and create a business, that's where they get slowed down.
makes sense, and especially if there's no positive reinforcement,
Hmm.
or if they've been putting in like so much effort that it's just not worth it.
So the boot camp, I'm going to restructure Nugget, but there's a couple of things. Can I talk about Nugget for a bit?
Yeah,
Couple of
absolutely.
couple of
Yeah.
points. So one is I'm excited about the boot camp. I'm excited for what it might mean for Nugget on a number of different levels. I'm gonna restructure Nugget so that when you go to the landing page, the boot camp is the main thing that you see. So it's basically Nugget Indie Founder Boot Camp. Then that is free. It's one click with a social login, and you're in and you're learning. Then everyone who gets in, I'm going to put them in Slack. So we're going to get
Wow.
a larger Slack group because there's been from the last batch who've come in for the paid academy. There's decent discussion going on in Slack, and I think it's good. And I think it might be nice if there's more people in there. Um, I remember Rob and Mike talking from sort of the rest of us talking about how 1% kind of thing is active in a community, and so right now there's a couple of hundred people in that Slack, and there's not too much. There is stuff going on, but
Mhm.
if I had 1,000 people in there, I think there would be a decent amount going on. So it would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Um, then the momentum tracker, I'm going to make that as well available for everyone, and I'm going to make it so that there's a little checkbox you can do to make your momentum blog public.
Okay.
Yep. So there's that. Then
That
the
should be good for SEO too.
yeah, that good for SEO. And then the Nugget Academy itself, I'm going to make it completely unavailable and not highlighted in any way until you've completed the academy and until you've completed the boot camp. So basically, it's like an unlock thing.
Okay.
So it's a level up because I don't want people to go into the academy unless they've gone through the boot camp and they really believe that. So basically, they'll do the boot camp, and then I'll ask the questions that I currently ask for the academy, because I make you take a quiz, and I say, I've got like 10 questions.
I
Then
remember that.
I'm going to change the questions to be: A, have you done the boot camp? B, do you believe in the boot camp? C, will you build an audience first before you do anything else? So basically, so it's the boot camp. They have the knowledge, then it's qualified, and then the reason why they're actually paying for Nugget is to just really get stuck into the process and really be supported in that
If,
way.
if they've done the boot camp, shouldn't they have some audience? Or I
Well,
guess
I,
there's
I don't
maybe not.
necessarily. Well,
Yeah.
because I mean, do they have their idea? I mean, what Nugget helps you do is it helps you like it helped you.
Yeah.
It's just a process that gets you to the right
Yeah.
idea and then helps you build it. And the latest batch, by the way, in Nugget are doing really really well. It's going much better now, for some reason. I guess I think it's the people who've ended up in there are just more qualified because of the types
Hmm.
of reasons that I was talking about. Because I'd sent them articles from the main thing. So I think this is going to be a much better approach.
That's good. I do like the what you're saying about getting more people into the Slack too, because
Yeah.
I've checked in the Nugget Slack a lot, and when I was posting stuff, sometimes I was like, oh, it looks like maybe I'm almost the only one posting, and that made me post less. So it's kind of one of those
It's
vicious cycles.
reinforcing. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And right now, I don't know whether you've noticed, but it's picking up a bit now, and that's nice. And then the other thing is I just want to try and create the male female mix. I haven't really
Hmm.
paid much attention to it in the past, and it's kind of ironic because Laura, who, as you mentioned, Laura is who's a woman in tech speaker, and she's kind of the co-founder of the academy, and she helped me
Hmm.
write the content. But that just didn't translate into a 50-50 mix. It might be the brand itself which might need to be changed, or the branding, or the look of it, or some aspect of it. Um, but I know that the boot camp is good to go for. It could support a 50-50 mix of male female, because the few women that I've got to actually look at it do really like it. So
Hmm.
yeah. So that's something else I'm going to just try and move towards, is to just create a more inclusive thing. And part of the
Yeah. I mean,
reason, yeah,
I think you definitely want to make sure everyone feels welcome. I think
yeah.
that's the first and biggest thing. So you said Laura has like she's a speaker, so does she have like her own audience?
Well, she doesn't have her own audience, but she has spoken at, I think, like five women in tech events.
Okay, okay,
Yeah. So she's not sort of like actively promoting. She's not in the mindset
but,
where she was thinking, "Oh, I'm going to actively promote for women to be in Nugget." She's
right.
just helping me get it
But
going.
you know who would though? Like,
Yeah,
if anyone who does go through it and has really good experience, probably going
exactly.
to talk to their friends. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so, but what's really got me thinking about it, this whole side of things, is my day job, True Space.
Hmm.
Um, Charles and Jamie Fred. So Jamie Fred is the president of True Space, and they're basically they do the same as I do in Nugget, except for like the businesses going from 1 million to 10 million. And they're just so proactive about it, about trying to create that 50-50 mix. And I just admire what they're doing and can see there's a lot of value, to do that.
Hmm. Are they
So
close to that?
they are very, yeah,
Very
they're
close.
much better than I've been able to at Nugget. But that's because I think they've thought that from the ground up. That's just their
Hmm.
default. I haven't paid much attention to it in the past. I don't know why. And I think that shows. I've really just been writing to appeal to someone like me. you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
and that was the niche, that was the beginning, and now I know that I can broaden that audience, especially since my sister, who's 16 years younger than me, and a woman, she went through it, and she found the parts that were really good and showed the parts that weren't, and that's all changed, and she's gone through it again now, and she's like, yep, this is awesome. So I
Nice.
think, yeah, I just think that it would be great to move in that direction.
Well, yeah. Keep us updated.
Hmm. um I've got a lot more to talk about if you want, or if you want to take it over, you can.
Yeah, go for it. I,
Okay.
I just I just got notification on my screen. Sorry.
So did I tell you? I told you about Roblox, right?
Yes.
Did I tell you that I hired a developer?
Yeah, that kind of surprised me. But how expensive is that to like make a Roblox game?
I don't know. I'll tell you. I'll be able to give you that information at a later date. But what I can tell you is, it's definitely the most fun thing that I'm doing right now. Is is building a Roblox game. It's like, Elon Musk was speaking about the Cybertruck, saying, "Oh, that's my most fun project of all." Well, for me, building a Roblox game is by far my most fun thing.
Is
Um,
Jack PMing it?
Not yet, but
Be like, hey, I want this.
yeah.
Put
Oh
this
no,
cool thing in the game.
no, it's really cool. So basically, we just sort of we've myself and the dev have just sort of gone through Roblox, looked at things that we like, and then come up with a game concept. And now it's great because he's sort of fresh out of college from game design type of thing.
Mhm.
So he knows a lot more about it than I do. And that's another kind of unique aspect of this. I'm handing it off really. And he's just like, he's drawing the game map. He's been doing that for the last week. And so we've got like a Dropbox, a shared Dropbox, and there's a PSD with the game map, and I can just sort of see the game map. The Dropbox has updated, and then I can have a look, and I'm like, oh wow, there's a whole
Nice.
there's like a big fish challenge. I'm like, that's
Wow.
cool. It's like, wow, I like it.
That would be really hard for me to do. Like I would be so driven to like jump in and start working on the game myself.
Yeah,
Because that stuff's fun, and it's
yeah.
just it's also like very engaging, and I wouldn't I wouldn't want to like let the contractor have all the fun.
Well, I thought that, and then I did go into and I'm exactly the same, right? And I did go in to start hacking away at the game, um, but then it's one of those things where it's not that I couldn't do it. It's not that I couldn't be really good at it. It's just that it's a whole environment. It's a deep environment. It's something that's going to take you probably a year to get really good at. And honestly, in my own personal level up game, it's much better for me to nail Nugget and Task Flow because I've
Yeah,
got a lot more experience, and I'm that's my context, and that's what I should build to the point where there's so much financial freedom that then I can do whatever the hell I want, and then I can go and explore and experiment with game stuff. So that's why I decided, you know what, I'm just going to let him do it because he's got the experience, he's got the enthusiasm, and it's kind of fun just to pay someone to have fun. That's kind of an interesting
that is
concept,
nice. I
you
would
know?
like to be able to do that. I gotta up my revenue.
Just paying him to have fun and be creative. That is a really, really good feeling that I was not expecting. Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah. So is it, or do you know anything about the dev environment? Like, is it through Unity, or do they have their own
Oh,
in-house
Roblox. No, I
everything?
know. I do know a lot about it. I mean, I've already created like a test game
Yeah.
and got some stuff working. So basically, no. I mean, Roblox is a fantastic development environment. So it's Lua is the language,
Well, okay.
and it's it is a complete IDE. I mean, it's a really great already existing Roblox Studio IDE where you
Roblox
can.
Studio. Okay, so it's
So,
their totally their own tech, like
oh
no
yeah, yeah,
Unity, just like
no, totally
wow.
their own tech,
Okay.
and it reminds me a lot of Flash, of a Flash builder. It's very very similar to that, but without timeline. So
Hmm.
imagine, did you ever use a Flash builder to build Flash stuff from Adobe?
I used Adobe Flash 5. That was what I used.
So it's like, this concept of like dragging stuff onto like a stage area, but it's
Yeah,
called a
yeah,
map.
I know this
And
stage.
you've kind of got you can click on an object and then you can like add a script to it. So and then you can also so you could go ahead and just add scripts to everything, or you can have a centralized library. They also have a concept of like client side code and server side code.
Hmm.
So some code will speak to would just be on the local machine and do stuff just for that one person. Another code will do like shared stuff like scores and stuff like that. They also give you like data stores. Like basically it has everything. It has everything built in. It's very, very good. I really do like it.
Although I would be a little bit hesitant to put time into it since it's only their own thing. So it's like a totally or it's a mostly non-transferable skill.
Well, Lua is pretty transferable. I mean, Lua is
Yeah,
quite a big language.
I mean that's yeah, I know some Lua. It's got yeah, it's been used in a lot of gaming stuff. It's really
Yeah,
easy to
right.
interop with C.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
It's using gaming stuff, and but I think, yeah, but no, but it's like anything. It's like, I mean, look, if you pick Unity, then you're not going to be in the other one, Unreal. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, well,
You know,
that's true. But I mean,
if you pick,
but Unity is C sharp, and C sharp's like pretty transferable.
well, like you just said, Lua is kind of transferable in amongst the different gaming platforms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, you know, I
I,
mean, at the end of the day, you pick your poison, right? You're going to go with one environment. You know, like if you decide you're going to be like a developer who does mobile apps, that's your that's generally speaking going to be your environment. But that, I mean, Roblox goes on mobile, Roblox goes on desktop, Roblox is on Linux, Roblox is on all the different places. So,
wow, how long have they been around? Like, it's amazing.
oh,
They're so
it's
huge.
like yeah, oh yeah, that it's big. It's one of the, you know, disruption theory is worse and cheaper, but more accessible. That's the whole
Hmm.
thing about disruption theory, and I think Roblox is that. It's like people. It's one of those things that just goes under the radar because it just seems like it's just for kids. You know, like, and then it just gets bigger and bigger, and more kids use it, and then loads of YouTubers are playing Roblox in their YouTubes, and then that's spreading it, and that's why there's 100 million people using it. It's actually quite astonishing. There's one game called Adopt Me. You can when you go into Roblox, you can see how many people are using different games,
Hmm.
and I shouldn't really be bigging up Roblox because I don't want other developers to do it, but anyway, I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care.
I
Anyway,
think
this
this will be a tiny fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the Roblox on YouTube videos. So you're
yeah,
probably
that's true.
safe.
There is usually about 500,000 people playing this Adopt Me game at any one time. Now, that is quite astonishing. Like, and this is what's so cool about Roblox is that's the biggest game I think, which has the most people. But
Hmm.
a lot of games have 1,000 people playing them. Because you can see like there's 1,000
Set
people
up your
playing
own
this right
server.
now.
Yeah.
You know, there's 10,000. A lot of games have 10,000, and with 100 million people, that splits up into a lot of 10,000s, a lot of 1,000s. You know, so your
Yeah.
game can be, you can make, well, firstly you can get people using it, and you can make some cash at it. But the Adopt Me game, yeah, you can see they've made over $10 million.
Did I ever tell you like what my project was when I was like first like trying to break into the Bay Area tech
No,
scene, get a
but maybe you did,
Groupon?
but remind me.
Okay. So I had been at a coding boot camp and just been doing like all JavaScript all the time and learned CoffeeScript, which was still pretty big then, and
Yeah,
learned Backbone JS and
coffee script. Yeah.
Node.js. And I found a tutorial on parser expression generators, which you use for making basically making an interpreter, making a compiler. Um, Turns out CoffeeScript Redux uses this library called peg.js. That peg is like parser expression generator to define the CoffeeScript language. Like it was the whole thing for this project was it was going to be like really well defined CoffeeScript, which made it easier to do source maps and lots of stuff. So I had basically I'd made a robot game where you don't control the robots directly. They were
Mm.
ugly robots. They were just like these CSS, just these DOM nodes. And they were just like a square with slightly rounded corners, but they could rotate, they could move, they could fire, and I used this peg.js to make my own language for programming the robots. It was kind of scheme like, but it had some other stuff in it, and uh, it was fun because it's like in the upper left hand you've got like robot one, upper right hand of the screen you got robot two, and like their source, and so like you've got your source code for your robot program here,
Hmm.
and then you hit start, and then they fight, and the more commands you have, like the more complex the logic, the fewer cycles you have for like firing. So like a really dumb robot could just be like just like mowing everything down and turning, and a more complicated one might not fire as much, but it'd be like moving around the corner or the edges of the screen and
Hmm.
firing carefully. And I made that game, like simple game. I used parse. I didn't even write a back end, and I showed it off at a meetup, and it was some JavaScript related meetup. And I was like, "Hey, I'm studying at a boot camp. This is what I've been working on," and I made this with CoffeeScript and Backbone, and I've been really interested in how interpreters work, and so like this is what I did. I just showed it for 5 minutes, and there was someone at that meetup who worked at Groupon and was like, "Hey, are you looking for a job right now, or as soon as you finish the boot camp?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. Like what kind of thing?" And he's like, "Well, we're using Backbone and we're using CoffeeScript and like all these technologies you picked." So that was both like super fun. Like I did it during my week. Like I was supposed to do it before the break week in the middle of the boot camp, but I
Hmm.
just kept working on it through the whole week, just like adding more stuff to it.
That's cool. So you sort of you showed that in open, and but a couple of points about that. Isn't that pretty much what Jason's trying to do with his kids right now?
Yeah, but
I
so this
yeah.
came to mind because he was taught because of I listened to your last podcast.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it's a little different because my
Okay.
focus was interpreters. It wasn't like a machine learning thing. Uh, but it was like you write your program first and then the bot runs, and it's
Yeah.
also
Okay.
saved on the server so anyone can like run your bot against their bot kind of
Hmm.
thing.
That's cool.
Um, yeah, what he's working on sounds interesting too. I don't know. I mean, I don't know because I like
Yeah, I'm just in the middle of recording a podcast right now, but as long as you're quiet and stuff, it should be fine, babes. Thanks.
but yeah, I mean, you guys have been talking about this stuff and talking about Math Academy for years, and
Hmm.
I've been super curious to see some of it or see blog posts about it or something, but not yet.
Well, one day, one day.
One day, you guys will
It's
start
like
blogs.
he's not. He's like everything Jason's been working on. It's like this giant submarine under the water, and he hasn't even put the periscope up yet. And I think one day it's just going to come up, and it's just going to be this whole submarine at once. It's going to be like, ta-da! Like here is
It'll
this massiveness. Welcome.
be like Stargate Atlantis, just
Yeah,
the whole city comes up.
yeah, right. um, yeah. So Roblox game, that's fun. Nugget, working on that. And then once Nugget is out there, then I will double back to TaskFlow, which I do always find myself wishing existed because, again, I'm just like want to prioritize stuff and make good choices.
Yeah,
So that's pretty
sounds
much
pretty
me.
reasonable.
From a goal point of view, I guess I'm going to try a week. Okay, I'm going to try this between now and next week. What happens if I stop eating at 2 every day? I'm going to probably get really hungry. I'm going to just look. I don't know. Just going to see what happens.
That would be harder for me than just fasting a whole week. Like, good luck.
We'll
If you
see.
can do it, like I will be very impressed, and I'll want to know how you did it.
Okay. Well, let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens.
How
So that's my
about
goal.
so just the health goal?
Yeah, well, the health goal, and then hopefully to get Nugget. Now it's not really about. I feel like I've got the reviews that I need. Now I just need to rejig Nugget to work in this new way. To like invite people into Slack and do all the things that it needs to do. So just getting it ready for that main launch
Cool.
rebrand. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my goal is I'm I have to do some stuff on Phoenix Igniter because I've gotten some emails from people who are like, "Hey, are you still? What's going on here?" And asking for stuff that I've already done. So I just need to document it. Other than that, though, I'm still pretty focused on the top of the line stuff for Alchemist Camp. I'm basically done with the series for this site. So the next series is all paid, and I don't want to go silent on YouTube for 2 months or who knows how long while I'm doing that series. So I gotta keep finding some topics and just make some smaller one-off videos and get them out there, and hopefully get a backlog that I can keep releasing while I'm working on the paid series.
I have a feeling if TaskFlow existed and if you plugged all your stuff into it, it would be reflecting to you that Phoenix Igniter should is exponentially the best thing for you to work on, like the
Could
most
be.
important thing for your time. And I think that's the kind of thing that I want TaskFlow to do. I want it to just reflect to the person. No, this is exponentially better. This is why you
Yeah.
should be doing this, not putting
I,
anything else in front of it.
I would say though that everything I do to grow my YouTube channel is going to help sell Phoenix Igniter.
Yeah,
I've
that's
already
true.
got one video on there introducing it.
It's true.
I'm actually right now, as we speak, I have a little pinging real time updating live button on the side of my screen, and I see I've got 2,999 YouTube subscribers, and I've been reading. I saw some stuff on Hacker News. Someone that like made $100,000 selling a book, and they were talking about the audience size, and they were like, after a few months, when you have 10,000 email subscribers, then you can do XYZ, and probably only make $1,000 or something. And I was like, I launched this site with 250 email subscribers, and even after 2 years, I only have like three between 3 and 4,000. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just really I may be wrong, but at least my intuition is like the top of the line, like really, like since retention is reasonably good, like I feel like the top of the line is just everything, or it's like a by far the weakest part of this whole business machine.
Hmm. The soil.
Anyway, yeah, yeah. So long story short, do some documentation at least on Phoenix Igniter. Get
Yeah.
3 videos out this week. Be good about diet at least 5 days so that it's doable, and then keep going through my new algorithms book, and just keep trucking along.
All right.
All right.
Congrats.
Well, not yet.
I guess that's the end of this one, and I'll
Yeah.
see you next week.
Yeah. Till next time.
Cheers.